Good afternoon. This is Dylan Typeless and Jared Gelka, and this is our video on the psychoanalysis of characters from Of Mice and Men. One character we'll be analyzing is George Milton. George Milton is portrayed as a very rational thinker compared to other characters, but he's very frustrated due to constant conflict from roaming for farm work and getting in constant trouble due to Lennie's actions.
We will now be covering what motivates George and factors into his decision-making. Companionship is a major motivator for George, as it sets him apart from other farmhands and other characters in the story who do not share a true friendship. However, Lennie and George have a true friendship and a companionship that factors into many of George's decisions.
George's protection of Lennie also plays a large role in George's motivation. In this case, George has fallen victim to what is known as the social responsibility norm. This is a societal norm that obligates people who are able to take care of themselves to help those who are in need even if there is no reward. An example of this would be if you see a little old grandma struggling to cross the street. You know there is no reward for helping her, but in the end it's the right thing to do, so you lend a hand. Throughout the novel, George often speaks of wanting to move off on his own and experience the world without the burden of Lennie, but George stays because he knows Lennie needs his guidance.
Another large motivator for George is his personal goals and aspirations. George longs for personal freedom and a stable job and disposable income. He wishes to no longer be constantly on the run and of one day sharing a farm with Lennie. This dream is fueled by Lennie's almost childlike belief in George and plans for the future.
Why did George shoot Lennie? Earlier in the novel, Candy is recorded saying, "I ought to have shot that dog myself, George. I shouldn't ought to have let no stranger shoot my dog." George uses the same thinking when considering the life of Lennie. George is Lennie's caregiver and therefore feels responsible for his life. George can either let Lennie live and have him die from the hands of Curly's mob, or he can take responsibility for Lennie's life and take it himself.
Connection to themes. George's aspirations and Lennie's unwavering belief in the future link directly to the theme of the American dream. Though they have been dealt a bad hand in life, Lennie's false sense of hope and enthusiasm motivate George to pursue the future he wants for himself. George's decision to shoot Lennie is an example of another theme in the novel, weakness. George and Lennie live a difficult and isolated life, all while amidst severe economic depression. George comes to realize that this is not a world that Lennie can thrive or even survive in. Lennie is simply too mentally weak to survive in such a social world.
The other character we'll be analyzing is Curly, the son of the farm owner. Curly is a short and thin man who is often seen picking fights with Lennie and being possessive of his wife. Curly has what is known as a Napoleon complex. People with a Napoleon complex are those who display aggressive actions or traits in order to compensate for how small they are. This explains why Curly acts so aggressive towards primarily Lennie. Lennie is a large man, and Curly, being intimidated by his size, feels the need to pick fights with Lennie to prove that he is the dominant male. On top of the size difference, Curly's wife is often seen flirting with Lennie, which causes Curly to be possessive of his wife and even more aggressive towards Lennie. This needed compensation from Curly also offers to forward the theme of weakness seen throughout the novel. In the end, it's these motivations that lead Curly to unleash the lynch mob that drove Lennie off the farm. This was our psychoanalysis on characters from Of Mice and Men. Thank you for watching.